Hi, welcome to American Reversion. I'm Steve Smith. I want to talk about the importance of local control here and how some states are going on about it, and how we might want to think about doing this too in the reversion of America. This video is brought to you by the Stone Mod series. I said that the other day. I'm going to start putting in my own commercials here. The Stone Mod series, in which I talk about a lot of things: preparedness, survival, and also the importance of local control. What we're talking about today. Uh, I did have somebody ask, and I guess I'll hold up the first one again. The first book in the series is The Reversion, and that's what I named this channel after: an American reversion, a return to the way that things ought to be. Somebody did ask. They said, I see 4 books up there, but when I go to Amazon, there's only 3 books up there. Well, I checked, and I think the link that I put down here below takes you to my author page on Amazon, and all 4 of them are there: The Reversion, The Revival, The Renewal, and An Appeal to Heaven. Yes, the 5th one I'm working on it right now. Hope to have probably a May release, something like that. And that is The Blessings of Freedom. So if you're interested in that stuff, you can get those books. They're on Amazon. There is a way to get autographed copies from me. I tried to put it in the About section on this channel. For some reason, I wasn't able to. I don't know why. But if you want autographed copies, if you go over to my other channel, Integrative Preparedness, in the About section, there is a post office box you can send a check for $15 a piece. Tell me what you want me to write in it, and I'll be more than happy to do that. Also, thank you for all of those who are coming over to the Patreon page, the Patreon channel. I'll put that link down here too. That has really blown me away, of the people who are coming over to support this channel by doing that. I will be putting extra stuff over on the Patreon channel that's not here. But thank you all. I was surprised, and I thank you. Okay, today I want to talk about the importance of local control. I've talked, a lot of people will say, well, we can't do anything about it. Why vote? Why do anything? We've seen that the elections were crooked, they were stolen, they were fraudulent. Yes, all of those things are true. The bigger a government gets and the farther away it gets from those it governs, the harder it is to control. I mean, that's why, the best government is the least government, and the government that's the most easily representative or sure to be representative is the one that's closest to you. And while we might not have the ability to sway the national issues very much, we have the ability, as always has, to sway the locals. And there's a reason that the saying, all politics are local, became a saying. Because that's where we can influence things. And as we influence the little, we can influence the larger. Okay, we know that North Dakota came. I want to talk about something here in Missouri here in a minute. Excuse me. I don't have a cough button on this. We'll see if I can get through this. I want to talk about what Missouri has done here that's of I think, great importance. We saw that, I think it's North Dakota, that has, whether they've just put forward a bill or whether they've passed it, I forget which, but they're working in that direction, to just dismiss all of the presidential executive orders that have come out under this latest occupant. And kudos to you all up there in North Dakota. That's great. I wish every state would do that. We know that a lot of states out there are not run by the blue. The big cities are, and that's how the big cities have a tendency to have an exaggerated influence on the national elections. But when we get down to the state level, most all those states are red. And that's how we influence the state. So let me get to what's going on here in Missouri, and it has to do with Second Amendment, which of course is near and dear to my heart and should be to everyone's. It's from The Blaze, and it's written by Daniel Horowitz. I'm going to read this so you don't have to, right? But I encourage you to and spread it around anyway. Spread this. I appreciate you spreading these videos around. Not only does it help the channel grow, but the more people that hear about this, the better. And the headline here is Missouri County authorizes arrest of feds who violate the Second Amendment. Now, this isn't the first time this happened in Missouri. Missouri is a great state, just like I'm sure yours is, but I'm from Missouri. I was born in Missouri, and I spent most of my life in Kansas, although I went back to Missouri to be a police officer. And and Missouri does stuff better than Kansas does in a lot of these areas. Remember that Missouri was a border state back during that little conflagration they had back in the 1860s, and it has a great attitude. Once you get outside the cities, it has a great feeling of personal independence and get out of my face. Okay, now I'm going to start reading this. What is our recourse when our own government criminalizes our most basic rights while it allows Black Lives Matter and Antifa to rampage through our streets with impunity? Is there no plan B when the federal or state governments treat all conservatives like terrorists, business owners like pariahs, and those who yearn to breathe unmasked air like murderers? Well, one Missouri county is demonstrating the importance of sheriffs and county officials returning to self-government and interposing between the government usurpers and the most sacred rights of the people. That's right. The sheriffs are very important elected officials. That's really where a lot of the, if you recall, the Oath Keepers started from. On February 3rd, the Newton County, Missouri Commission, Newton County's down south of Joplin, it's down in the southwestern part of Missouri, a great part of Missouri. Pretty much every part of Missouri is great once you get outside the cities. So let me start again. I interspersed it. On February 3rd, the Newton County, Missouri Commission passed a bill that will not only block federal enforcement of unconstitutional gun policies, but criminalize their implantation thereof within the jurisdiction of the county. The Second Amendment Preservation Act of Newton County, Missouri declares that all federal acts, laws, orders, rules, and regulations passed by the federal government, and specifically any presidential administration, whether past, present, or future, which infringe on the people's right to keep and bear arms as guaranteed by the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution and Article 1, Section 23 of the Missouri Constitution, shall be invalid in the county. The section of the Missouri Constitution they're talking about reads as follows: that the right of every citizen to keep and bear arms, ammunition, and accessories typical to the normal function of such arms in defense of his home, person, family, and property, or when lawfully summoned in aid of the civil power, shall not be questioned. The rights guaranteed by this section shall be unalienable. Any restriction on these rights shall be subject to strict scrutiny, and the state of Missouri shall be obligated to uphold these rights and shall under no circumstances decline to protect against their infringement. Specifically, now we're getting back. That was apart from the Missouri Constitution. Now we're getting back to the article. Specifically, the ordinance targets federal policies that order the tracking or registering of firearms of ammunition, an idea that Democrats have been floating recently. It also bars the enforcement of any effort to confiscate guns except from those who are suspected criminals. Now, that may seem like a large umbrella under this. This isn't from the legal bill. This is part of Horowitz's article. And when he's talking about suspected criminals, that's going to be under the probable cause. So it's not just like, hey, Joe Blow doesn't like you and he's going to call in and say, I suspect him of being a criminal. That doesn't fly in Missouri. The Second Amendment sanctuary, and I'm sure in your state too, or most of your all states, the Second Amendment sanctuary movement has been growing throughout the country. That's right, with hundreds of counties passing some form of a declaration protecting gun rights from encroachments perpetuated by higher levels of government. The sanctuary movement has only recently come to the state of Missouri. That's not really true. The sanctuary movement has been in Missouri for quite a while, but I'm not sure where he's coming from that. With several counties recently declaring themselves Second Amendment sanctuaries and the state legislature pushing similar bills. Maybe he's talking about the state as opposed to counties, but this has been going on in Missouri for a while. But Newton County might have adopted the strongest language in the entire country, going so far as to criminalize enforcement or cooperation with federal law enforcement who seek to enforce such policies. This is a takeoff of what states like New York did when they criminalized the cooperation between state and county government officials and immigration and customs enforcement with regard to enforcement of federal immigration laws, even against illegal aliens with criminal records. The difference, of course, this is the important difference, is that the Second Amendment sanctuary movement seeks to protect legitimate constitutional rights for Americans, and unlike the illegal alien sanctuary movement, does not harbor suspected criminals. Right. Those differences are important, aren't they? Specifically, Section 4A of the Newton County Ordinance grants the Sheriff's Department full authority to make an arrest of any and all federal agents that violate state laws and enforce regulations that violate the Second Amendment. Finally, the ordinance bars anyone who enforces or attempts to enforce any of the infringements identified in this ordinance from being hired as a law enforcement officer or to supervise law enforcement officers in the county. Okay, let's see if any more important things in this. Well, anyway, I think that'll probably do it. I read somewhere, and there's another site that about a third of the states. I'm going to say, I could be a little bit wrong. I'll come back probably tomorrow and make another one. I could be wrong, and I'm going to go back and check. But many more states are pushing for sanctuary than most people realize. I'll try to get back. I'll find that article and get back on it tomorrow. Anyway, the point that I wanted to make with this is that that local control is important. Local control is the control that you can most easily exert. If you have, and people will ask, well, how can I do it? If you have $1,000 that you want to make a political contribution to affect, what's going on, you send it to a national campaign, nobody's going to notice. Okay, you send it to a state campaign, probably nobody's going to notice. But you send it to your city councilman or your county councilman who's used to getting $5, $10, $20, $50, $100, and they are going to notice. And guess what? That gets them accepting your phone call. And that gets them looking at the email that you sent them. Now, you might say, well, I don't have $1,000 to get. I understand that. I understand. But think about what you spend your money on. And, a lot of people, if they really looked at what they spend on a daily basis over junk, and I mean, whether it's a daily Starbucks or whether it's a daily, Happy Meal, whatever. We all have our little pet expenditures, And if you really look at that, you can tell what's important to a person by looking at their checkbook or their debit card records. And you look in there, and if you can't find a few extra dollars, that you say, well, you know what, maybe it's more important what's going on in the world around me than that I get this little, make me feel good thing every day. You probably find it in there. But if you don't, I understand that. $500, $100, the smaller races, a contribution can get you noticed. You don't have any money, or you just can't split it. I understand that. You got kids to raise, you got kids to feed, your furnace broke, whatever. Do you have 10 friends that you could get together and have them meet you and go to the next meeting that's being held by or a speech that's being given by one of your county or city councilmen or meetings? Do that. Get out there and do it. You got 20 people, that's better. Those people, because you look at the races, the smaller races, and it's amazing how many of those are won by 10 votes, 20 votes, 50 votes, and if you can bring a number of potential voters right up there and show them in the face of that guy who's trying, or that gal who's trying to, win that seat back or get into the seat. You have some influence. We need to develop our influence on the local level everywhere, because local is where you start the power game. Okay. You get national power by putting together a whole bunch of little locals, well, it goes through the county and then the state and all that. But realize this and spread it around. Talk to your friends. Explain to them who may not understand the importance of coming together, the importance of taking a stand. You can't just sit around and complain all the time. When I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to, all of us. We can't just complain all the time. It's action that affects, the world around us. So anyway, that's the message for today. That's the importance of local control, of building that control mechanism and then wielding that control. People on our side are not nearly as good at wielding the power as the people on the other side. They love it. We don't love it so much. We are more individuals. We're busy raising our families. We're busy running our businesses. We're busy doing things. It's not in our nature, most of us, to care about having control over other people. That's what makes it difficult on our side, but that's why the other side wins, and that's why we need to kind of come back, understand, reintroduce ourselves to the local power game, and get busy. So remember that. Have a great day. Remember that America needs a reversion, and it needs you to be a part of it. So thank you again. Remember to like, subscribe, spread this around. Hey, buy a book or two if you'd like to. Join me over on Patreon and contribute to what we're doing. And I'll talk to you all later. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.